Niners win. Niners win. Niners win. They win in Cleveland 26-8. Purdy looked good. The defense looked good. Cleve Farrell with a couple sacks. Let's go. Let's go. Off and running, postgame style, Krueger show. Everybody's in the house. Rye's here. Frank's here. Kev's here. Danny probably will be along at some point. JD may join us in a bit. Niners win. We're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle. The best barbecue in all of Northern California is Pig and a Pickle. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. We'll be there on December 7th for the meet and greet. They got a third location opening in Petaluma. We'll talk more about them later on, as well as our good friends at Sleeper and Habbas Law. But, guys, 26-8, 49ers get the win. The Browns are a bad football team. And I think all the discussion this week about Myles Garrett, all the discussion this week about the weather, all the discussion this week about Cleveland's defense. And yet, when I looked at the numbers, I saw that the Jets ran for 6 yards a carry and the Patriots ran for 6 yards a carry. And we've seen teams go for New England. I should say New England ran for 5 a carry, but 177 yards. But I mean, teams had run on this Browns defense. It's not the most unstoppable defense of all time. Actually, if you looked at the numbers, the 49ers defense had allowed fewer points per game than the Browns coming into this game. And yet the Niners did struggle to run it. McCaffrey ran for 2.7 a carry. Robinson ran for 3.3 a carry. The Niners couldn't really run efficiently, 2.8 a carry. But they did just enough and then mix in 2 turnovers, which they turned into 13 points. And 26-8 the final. Niners were up 10-8 at halftime. It was 17-8 after 3, and 26-8 is the final. Shedeur numbers looked okay, and he didn't do anything terrible. 16 of 25, 149 yards. He had a touchdown, no picks. He was sacked 3 times. But the 49ers did a nice job at minimizing negative plays. Brock Purdy was only sacked once all day. So that in itself is an accomplishment. I really thought the team that ran the ball better would win the game. And yet the Browns clearly were that team, and they lost. They ran for 4 or 5 a carry. They ran 31 times for 138 yards. But the Niners didn't really give up much in the passing game at all. Jerry Jeudy, 3 catches for 26 yards. And the 49er defense did just enough. If you had told me that the Niner defense would outsack the Brown defense when the Niners were dead last in sacks and the Browns have Myles Garrett, I would have said no way. But that's what happened today. 3 sacks, 2 for Cleve Farrell, 1 from Keon White. And the 49ers get the win on the road. They roll to 9-4 into the bye week, 6-2 on the road. With the Rams loss at Carolina, it makes you think the division's up for grabs. Guys, it's a good day all the way around for the 49ers. What'd you guys think? Let's go takeaways. Who wants to start? Kev, why don't we start with you and we'll go that way?
Yeah, I mean, just an insane game in terms of I can't remember a game where I've laughed more at the opposing team. Like, this team is just not competitive. It's a non-competitive football team. It's, at least offensively, they're a joke, complete joke, and it's just some big mistakes. The Niners basically never had to make an offensive drive to score, and they still won this game. They had 2 offensive drives where they actually scored points. They had a field goal going into halftime, and they had a field goal in the fourth quarter. Besides that, they didn't have to do anything. They just punted the ball all day long, and they got great field position 3 times, and they scored each one of those times. The first one was a Sky Moore punt return, which Sky Moore has been looking pretty good lately. Yeah. Looks like a good move. But then, I mean, the fumble, the turnover on downs on your own 30. I mean, Malachi Corley catches a ball at the 5-yard line on a kickoff and just steps out of bounds, and they get the ball.
Was really bad. That was really bad.
It's just terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible stuff. Niners were able to capitalize. Purdy looked especially mobile today. I think he faced pressure a ton in this game. He faced a lot of pressure, and the Browns only came away with 1 sack. So I think that goes to the Niners offensive line, and credit the Niners offensive line. But Purdy, I felt like he managed the pressure perfectly. Like he, outside of that one sack that Myles Garrett had, which was a beautiful sack by him on Trent Williams, I thought Purdy did a really good job of just getting out of the way and throwing the ball away or getting it to someone in the pass game before they could get to him. So, Niners, it's one of those games, again, where it's like the Niners, you win the game, but you didn't really have to do much to win it. But you'll take that W all day. Good win for the Niners, and they move on to a bye and then an even worse opponent with the Tennessee Titans.
By the way, I heard that Purdy this morning, and I don't know. I'm not sure where I heard it or if I heard it in the pregame show or if I saw it on Twitter, but supposedly Purdy this morning talked to the team and was like, told them like, hey, I'm going to make amends for last week. And, I like that. I mean, I like a guy that says, you know what, we won the game, but I didn't play well enough and I need to play better. I think there's just so much accountability there with Brock Purdy. I thought this was a game where, man, I mean, 49ers need to show some leadership. And I thought he really did a nice job at doing exactly that. Rye, what'd you think?
Oh, man, this is a fun one. It's got me thinking. It's got me, if you asked me last week, 2 weeks ago, just like, I think we've had this discussion maybe, 6 times. Like, oh, what would be a successful season for the Niners? Is it getting to the playoffs? Is it winning one game? I mean, the NFC and really the NFL as a whole, there's nobody that's that elite. Like all of a sudden it's like everyone looks very mortal. The Eagles look mortal. The Lions look mortal. The Packers are obviously mortal. The Panthers beat the Rams today. Darnold, you never know when he's going to just completely collapse. And all of a sudden, it's not like my expectations are changing, but it's like things are kind of opening up. Like they could probably beat any of these teams in the playoffs and just try and get lucky and maybe go on a run. And you look up and the Bears, the Chicago Bears,
great.
They're the number 1 seed in the NFC right now. All of a sudden, the NFC West is not dead. I mean, the Rams have to play, I think, Cardinals twice. Seahawks, obviously, again, that's going to be huge. But the Niners, they surprised me. This was literally, I felt like today, it was like they really like exercised some demons because Jim Schwartz has completely had Shanahan's number. I can't remember the record versus them, but it's not good. Purdy had like his worst game outside of the Ravens game where he threw 3 picks, and then maybe last week. His worst game was that rainy day in Cleveland, maybe like 3 years ago when the Niners were absolutely rolling. I was just so impressed. And I got to say, I came away very impressed with the Browns D. I kind of have a football boner for the Browns D, to be honest. They're so good. They are just swarm to the ball. Like it reminds me of like those great Niner defense. Like, it's like Kittle catches the ball and they're like a hive of bees. It's like there's 5 of them on them. And, they 8 pressures. Trent Williams, like I can't even blame the guy. I mean, Myles Garrett, I believe, has like 7 more sacks than the entire 49ers team. He's going to beat the record. And but the thing with the Browns that nobody talks about is they are 2 completely different teams. On the road this year, they average giving up like 28 points a game. If you go back even 4 years, it's around 30. But at home, they are a completely different defense. This goes back 4 years. This year, they're like 16, 17 points a game, completely different. So it was super impressive. And just like the Niners are doing all the little stuff that like we've been looking for so long, turning the ball over, special team plays, short field, like it can't be all on the offense. And as far as Purdy goes, it was pretty clear last week that, whatever you want to call it, he had the yips, he had the whatevers. Shanahan completely put the training wheels on him in the second half. Like, I don't think he had one pass over 10 yards in the second half. It was basically screen passes, little short stuff, kind of the Jimmy G offense, stuff to the sideline. And then today, I thought it was interesting. I don't know if it was like a coaching point or it was on purpose. He was going downfield quite a bit. All of it was to the sideline, though, which is definitely different. I mean, they of course love that, across the middle stuff, but it's just safer to throw to the freaking sideline, man. It's so much safer. It's such a lower probability of picks. And it was just super impressive. And Niners, now they got to buy, and it's looking pretty good.
It is looking pretty good. Red, what'd you think?
Love that analysis, Rod. It was awesome. Best of both worlds. I thought the 49ers played my most enjoyable game to watch of the year, and I thought Shador played more than well enough to get another start. I've been saying for weeks, as a fan and as a coach and as somebody who just watches sports, I don't look at sport. I don't look at the stats as much as I watch the games. I've been saying for weeks, this is a good 49er defense, right? Why? Because they don't make a lot of mistakes. Why? Because they don't take plays off. Why? Because they don't get fooled. And you see the coaching watching these guys play. Every time Cleveland caught the ball in the flat, there's a diamond around the receiver. There's somebody who is dedicated to the sideline. There's somebody who is dedicated to the left of the catch. And there's somebody about 5 yards beyond the person who receives the ball. They're coached that way. So they swarm. They play like the Minnesota Vikings in a lot of ways. They swarm defenders. They swarm offensive players, excuse me. So I got a lot of confidence in this defense. Brock Purdy, one of the best games I've seen him play in a long time, because mentally you could hear him thinking about being very careful and protective with the football. And he has tremendous confidence in Kittle and Jawan Jennings. Jawan Jennings, listen, they better sign that guy tomorrow, because that guy makes tough catches. Kittle makes tough catches. Pearsall got off today. So I've been excited about this team. I'm even more excited about them because of what Ryan Kev said. This NFC is wide open. Anybody can lose. Also, put some respect on Carolina. The 49ers wiped the field with them. That's not a bad football team. And they went out there today, including Bryce, and they battled and they won a hell of a game against the Rams, which gives the 49ers even more credit. So this was beautiful to watch. I'm really happy right now.
Yeah, Panthers, by the way, really good at home. 4-2 at home. And they put up 31 today against the Rams' killer defense, and beat the Rams 31-28. So, and Stafford had a couple big turnovers in that game, and that's really what his thing has been. He's avoided turnovers. As far as this game goes, it's amazing if you look at the numbers. Purdy and Sanders, almost identical numbers. Purdy was 16 of 29, 168 yards and a touchdown, sacked once. Shador, no picks. Shador, 16 of 25, so basically the exact same number of completions, only 4 fewer attempts, 149 yards instead of 168, 1 touchdown, no picks. He was sacked 3 times. Purdy had an 83.7 rating. Shador had a 93.6 rating. To me, I think, when you look at this game on paper, I think when you factored in the weather, and the wind and the potential for precipitation, I thought it was interesting. It was an interesting game. One, Shanahan took the ball. Didn't the Niners win the toss, or did the Niners won the toss and took the ball? Right? I'm pretty sure.
I think so.
I think they definitely had the ball, but it's a matter of did they win the toss. I think they won the toss and took the ball, which I love, because that's Shanahan showing there are some scenarios. It's not just blindly, let's do it. I think they anticipated either some rain or some snow in the second half, and they wanted to get out to a lead. So I like the strategic nature of that. Then there was I just felt like if you said, what was the difference in this game? Mistakes. Niners didn't make any, and the Browns made a lot. I'll give you the first drive. 2nd and 5 from the 38. Sanders has a throw to Judy. Judy is in the clear. If he hits him,
wide open,
he's still running, and it's a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
It's and maybe it's a totally different ball game because they jump out to a 7-0 lead with their killer D line at home, and who knows? Maybe it's a different game. Instead, Sanders badly overthrew that. He overthrew him by 3-4 yards, and so that was mistake number one. Wide open guy, and that was just not a mental mistake. Just he couldn't get it there. Maybe it was wind affected. It was really windy today. So that was a mistake. You mentioned the Malachi Corley mistake, the fumbled snap, the fourth down, stuff. I mean, I thought the Niners. Another guy who I think we need to shout out here is Malik Mustafa. Man, on the 4th and 1 on the Quinshon Judkins play, it looked like Jordan Elliott and Nick Martin got in, but if you watch that thing again, it was Mustafa who shot through and just detonated on Judkins and just halted him in his tracks. So that was an early in the game stop, and that was in the red zone. That was at the 20-yard line. They easily could have gone in and scored there. Then they've got the Niners went 3 and out. They punt back, and Lavarna or whatever the guy's name was fumbled, and Darrell Luter, gets the big hit. He did recover the fumble, Lavarna or whatever the guy's name was, but that was another mistake. They just had a lot of mistakes in this game. I mean, and every time the 49ers just played a cleaner football game. I also thought Kittle was huge in this game. Now you look at the box score and you say, well, 4 catches, 67 yards, but they only threw him 5 balls all day. He caught 4 of them, and they were huge plays. He had that 33-yard catch. I thought Kittle was absolutely huge. So Purdy took care of the football. The Niners are an interesting team because we used to just be like, well, whatever they can do on offense and offense and defense will have to carry them because they're a circus on special teams. But no longer, right? They've got guys making plays on the coverage units. They got multiple kickers making field goals. They have punters who can pin you down inside the 20. They've got a return guy who can take it up the field and bust a big one. They're a better team on special teams. I think to Frank's point, I think we were so used to pointing to who they don't have on defense that we don't really, it's kind of like, you have somebody who says, oh, I had a party and this guy didn't come and this girl didn't come and this person didn't come and who showed up? How about who came to the party, And the Niners still have a lot of people at this party on the defensive side of the ball. Cleve Farrell, 2 sacks, 9 tackles. He played his butt off today. Upton Stout was great. Mustafa was great. D. Winters had a big stick. I mean, there was a lot. There was a team effort top to bottom, I thought.
The underrated player I think that needs to be shouted out is Keon White. Keon White is looking really good. And for what they got him, I mean, that's a huge value add. I mean, that's even though they didn't make a big trade at the deadline, like the week before the deadline,
he's helping.
Keon, he's helping. Like he's helping more than you could imagine for a guy that probably not very many of you guys knew about before the trade.
Yeah, no question.
I agree with that.
He had 2 hits on the quarterback. He had a sack, and he also had a couple plays. Didn't he draw a penalty on one of those holds where the guy kind of looked like it kind of threw him down a little bit, and then I felt like he drew a penalty as well. Yeah, he's good. I mean, it's funny that was a great trade by Lynch because look at the price that they paid. It was a very low price. And they didn't get a player who's got a bad attitude. They didn't get a player who's injured. They didn't get a player who's past his prime. They got a youngish player who just didn't fit New England's scheme and does fit their scheme. So they got a player who the value on the player was here because the value to them in their scheme was here. But in this scheme, he's a much more valuable player, and you still paid a very minimal price. So you're right. I think Keon White definitely deserves a little shout out.
It's totally irrelevant to the Niners. I mean, the Niners won the game. We're all happy to move on. But if I was a Browns fan today, I would just be disgusted. I just think this team they're just non-competitive. They're non-competitive. I felt like when I was watching, like they didn't want to win. Like they're just all those guys. I mean, you have Myles Garrett who's trying to get a record, and their defense is playing really hard. But offensively, special teams, like, do they even care? Like, I don't know. Like, do they even really want to win? Like, maybe they're at a point now where they just don't care about winning. I never felt during the entire game that they were ever going to make this game competitive, that they were ever going to really do any damage to the Niners defensively. And I mean, there was one point in the game. I just remember this. The Niners scored a touchdown. I think it was on the Purdy when he pulled it from CMC and ran in the end zone.
Great
they
call.
flashed the camera to like 2 guys in the Browns, and they're just like talking, just like smiling. It's like, do you guys even care about this game? Like, do you guys even want to win? Like, I don't know. It just felt, I got that vibe from the Browns all day, and just terrible.
Yeah, well, it's a terrible. I mean, look at the NFL right now. If you said, Where are, there's good teams, there's bad teams, and there's a lot of teams in the middle, right? Lots and lots of teams in the middle. But if you just said across the league, who's got terrible culture? Jets, Browns, Raiders,
Giants sometimes.
New York Giants. Who else? That might be it. Maybe Cardinals.
Honestly, Dolphins.
Maybe Dolphins right now. Yeah,
Titans.
Titans have a terrible record. I mean, maybe Titans too.
Around.
I think I like Cam, but you're right, Frank. They're 1-11. They're 0-7 at home. They're outgunned, that's who's next, by the way, for the 49ers out of the bye is the Tennessee Titans, the 1-11 Titans. And so they lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars today. But yeah, overall, the Browns are a horrible culture team. And credit Brock Purdy, though, because, this defense was swarming. They were all over the place. They got a killer rush. It's windy as hell, terrible conditions. And he kept it together, man. He was on point. He took care of the football and won the game. Very underrated. I thought this was one of the more impressive wins in Purdy's Niner career when you factor in the opponent, the conditions, how he's struggled with precipitation. It didn't rain, so that was maybe advantage 49ers. I don't know how he would have handled the football had it rained or snowed. But he wasn't planning on wearing a glove. He told us that earlier in the week. I think, where do you guys put this one among Purdy's games?
I mean, I don't know. It's interesting to me. Like this game, like Purdy didn't really have to do much, but when he did need to do something, they did it right. Like they didn't have to go on these long drives. They punted the ball most of the day, but when they got in the red zone, they came away with points. And I thought that he made a couple of really good reads. That ball to Kittle that he threw, he was facing pressure and he just threw it across his body a little bit to Kittle. Perfect touch, and Kittle's wide open. That sets up the score. So I think Purdy, like, he did what he needed to do, and I really like the mobility that he had today. But just one thought I had also just on the Browns too. Someone has to save Quinshon Judkins. That guy's a superstar in the making, and he's just on a terrible team. I don't know what you guys think of Judkins, but if he was on a better offense, I think we would be talking about Judkins as like, oh, like, look at this guy. Like, this guy's going to be special. But he's on this terrible Browns defense or offense that he just can't do anything. But he's special, man.
It's really, I mean, when you're just talking about the Browns, like, it's super weird because it's like, where do they go? Their defense is awesome. They draft incredible. I mean, if you look at their draft this year, Mason Graham is a complete stud. That was a great move to trade back. Carson Schwessinger or whatever his face, the linebacker from UCLA, so
really good.
Then they took Judkins, Harold Fannin, late third, who's been also a total stud.
Dylan Sampson, Isaiah Bond.
Yeah, and then they got Gabriel and Sanders late. I mean, I feel, and then it's like, I don't know how you guys feel about Stefanski. I mean, the guy seemingly is a really good coach. It's just he's so limited with his quarterbacks, like what they can do on offense. Yeah, I mean, if they got a real quarterback, I mean, then you have Deshaun Watson. I don't know.
Well, the Watson, the interesting thing there is that the ownership, the Haslams, are letting the GM off the hook for the Watson trade. Like maybe the Haslams made Andrew Berry, the general manager, trade for Watson. That trade has depleted the Browns horribly. I mean, it's an amazing amount of talent the Browns have considering they made that trade. Because they look at how much talent Houston got out of that trade, from Will Anderson to Stingley to others. I mean, they built up their entire roster on the back of that Watson trade. So it's kind of amazing the Browns are as good as they are. To be,
you definitely get ownership approval. You're definitely getting ownership approval on a $225 million fully guaranteed contract.
If not just approval, they may have just mandated it. They may have just said, "This is our guy." Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me say this about
it's also
Browns.
so.
Go ahead, Ryan. I got after you.
Oh, just real quick.
Ryan.
I was going to say, it's just funny that like back to back, they had Chubb. They went with Chubb over who's the guy who the Patriots took? I'm sorry,
Ramondre Stevenson.
No. It was the Patriots took a first round running back out of Georgia who was like people thought was the guy.
Oh, Travion
and then there was
Travion.
No.
No, you're talking about years ago. Robert Edwards.
No. Okay, whatever. They took a first round pick from Georgia, who everyone thought was the one. And
Sony Michel? No.
So yeah, it was Sony Michel.
Sony Michel.
And then the Browns in the second round took Chubb, and then Chubb is like, top 3 running back in the league. And now it's looking like it's happening again with Travion going to New England and Judkins.
So
I think they're both good.
Let me say this about Cleveland. Kevin Stefanski had a lot to do with this game. He was ultra conservative. That 4th and 1 dive at the foot. That's a bullshit call. I mean, really, dude?
Yeah.
I mean, give me a break. I mean, and also it's an all or nothing proposition with Shador. Shador clearly can read defenses. He throws a nice ball, and he basically handled it like he was in high school. Let it rip, dude. Okay, the win is not good. Big deal. They didn't get the ball to the tight end. If I'm a Cleveland fan, if I know football, the only thing that would piss me off is if Shador's not in the game. That's it. I mean, moving forward, they have talent, and football is one of those games that you really can go from atrocious to actually being respectful in the next year. But Kevin Stefanski, to me, did a lot for Cleveland, notwithstanding the turnovers, and that happens. Players make mistakes, but he was too conservative with their attack, and I think that hurt the team. It helped the 49ers because they gained confidence and they were playing well. But the point I'm making is that this team is not quite as bad as some people might think. Kevin Stefanski needs to decide if he's on board or if he's not on board. That's the real conversation that they need to have, because they have enough talent. Offensively, you're going to get some more players, but they're not trash. I don't think they are.
Well, and it's like they took such a weird approach to the quarterback position this offseason. I mean, they had Flacco. In camp, they had Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Watson, Dylan Gabriel, and Shador. And, it's like, it's like we don't know how to pick a quarterback, so we're just going to get a bunch of different guys, old guys, young guys, new guys. We're going to just get every possible candidate we can in here, and it will just kind of work itself out. But then they kind of wasted this year. I mean, they went with Flacco. What's Flacco? And then they traded Flacco. And then they went with Dylan Gabriel. I never understood the interest in Dylan Gabriel. He played 7 years in college. He's 5'10". He doesn't have a real NFL skill set of any kind. He's just kind of a nice backup quarterback, but you drafted him and gave him lots of starts. This seemed like, you're a bad team. You're in kind of a developmental year. Why wouldn't you just have said, hey, look, we're going to roll with Shador and take our lumps and let him, because if you had, I kind of wonder would Shador have played a better game today if they'd given him the starts that went to Dylan Gabriel, who's nothing. I mean, it's not like Dylan Gabriel is not a NFL starting prospect. I mean, that was so bizarre. What would you guys say if you said the worst moment for the 49ers in this game? Do you have one? Or because to me, the one I just was like, what in the heck's going on, is why are the 49ers playing Luke Gifford as a cover guy for Harold Fannin down the field? He cannot cover at all. And it's like, we've watched Gifford get burned for multiple touchdowns the last couple of weeks, and I don't understand it. It's like, you got Nick Martin, you got other guys, you got D. Winters, you got Jalen Graham. Get anybody but Gifford in coverage down the field, and yet they keep getting ISO'd Gifford down the field, and he keeps getting burned easily. And I just don't get it. It seems like a flaw in their mindset about how they view Gifford. He's not a coverage player, clearly.
I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. He's not a great coverage player, but I'm not sure if that was on him. It looked like they were playing some kind of zone coverage, and I thought that maybe that was Green's zone that he just helped with the post route, and then he didn't see Fannin kind of trip into his zone.
Yeah, it definitely looked like some kind of a zone. I just felt like it seemed like, since it was the tight end, then it probably was the linebacker covering him. I don't know. It's hard to see without watching the all 22. They go on to the next play pretty fast. But what would you say if you said the one, the worst moment of this game for the Niners, what would you say?
I mean, the worst moment. Sorry, you can go first, right?
Yeah, the only I really only had like one note, and it's really not that big of a note, and they ended up making up for it. But I would really like to see them go when they were on the Cleveland 40. I think it was like 4th and 4.
4th and 4 on the Niners' third possession from the Cleveland 40.
Yep, especially since
they played super conservative. I highlighted that as well. Why? I mean, come on, man. Well, you picked that. Really, you need 30 yards of field position there.
And then the Browns had the ball to start the second half, and then they followed that up with giving up a long ass drive to Shador. Didn't even leave him barely enough time. But then, I mean, that Purdy throw to Kittle was friggin' sweet, and they ended up getting the doink in, so they ended up being okay. But that was really my only note.
My negative from the game isn't necessarily one moment. I just thought in the first half the Niners offensively didn't look very good. I mean, they didn't really do much offensively the entire game in terms of moving the ball, but in the first half it was pretty bad. I was looking it up because they finished that first half with a 6-play 58-yard drive where Purdy actually looked pretty good. They got a field goal going into the half to score, but besides that drive, I mean, they had if you take out that 6-play 58-yard drive, they had 20 plays for 76 yards, averaging 3.8 yards per play, which is pretty bad.
Pretty bad.
But obviously, it's there's a lot of these games in the NFL. We think one thing and the opposite happens. It's going to be high scoring. Oh, it's low scoring. Oh, it's going to be low scoring. It's going to be high scoring. But this game kind of played exactly how we thought it. It was a low scoring, ugly game where the Niners came out on top because they're just a cleaner football team. This Browns team just does Browns things, loses the game, but they have a really good defense and they're hard to pick up yards against. So that's that. I mean, that's just how the game went. And I felt like offensively they looked terrible. I mean, I think CMC had 6 carries for 4 yards, or maybe it was four carries for 6 yards or something like that. He had 6 carries for 9 yards at half, averaging 1.5 yards per carry. So offensively, they just weren't really moving the ball. That was probably my biggest low point for the Niners.
The other low point, the 12 men on the field on the extra point, which gave them a 2-point conversion, which they then tried and got. You can't have that. I mean, you can't have 12 men on the field on the extra point and then just give away a 2-point conversion. Ultimately, obviously, it didn't bother them because those were the only points the Browns got. Frank, is there anything that stood out to you that you thought was kind of a low point for the Niners today?
Yeah, I've been spoiled by Eddie Pinero, man. I'm used to that thing going right down the middle. So Gay, I mean, Guy, he's his guy, right? The kicker?
Gay.
Gay.
I mean, he scared the bejeebers out of me, man. I don't want to see guys hitting the side of the goalpost and doinking in because this is a low margin team, particularly as you get closer to the playoffs. So Pinero's going to be back, then I'm okay. But yeah, I know there's wind and stuff like that. I don't care. I want to see the ball go straight down the middle off of an extra point. So that kind of caught me off balance a little bit. And beyond that, I think that was pretty much it for me. I mean, I saw a lot of good football. I saw guys catching the ball in tight windows. I love that because that's hard. That's hard to do. The lack of yardage by running backs, that doesn't really bother me that much because what you're doing when you're running the football is you're keeping the defense honest. I didn't expect them to blow up Cleveland. This is a top 5 defense. So what they needed to do was guarantee that they would run the ball. And every now and then you were going to break one. So I love their game plan offensively. I think Shanahan this year last year we gave him a C. This year I'm giving him an A-. He's been outstanding. And
no doubt.
Habbas Law on the defense, I mean, come on, man. It's A+ all day. So I like what they did. I really like what they did.
I would say too many yards on first down. I mean, Quinshon Judkins had multiple 7-yard runs on 1st and 10. Dylan Sampson came in. He had an 8-yard run on 1st and 10. It's like, it's hard to defend 2nd and 2. It's hard to defend 2nd and 3. Now, this team didn't have the tools or the ability to kind of take advantage of that. But, man, they got the Niners into some 2nd and 2s and 2nd and 3s. And it's like that's kind of bad football. I mean, you got to do more on first down. You can't let your opponent get 8 yards on the ground or 7 yards on the ground. It kind of ruins the series, and it happened at least 4 or 5 times. So that's a concern. That is a little bit of a concern. I also didn't love the fact that when Curtis Robinson went down, they didn't put Nick Martin in with the green dot. They put Jalen Graham in there with the green dot. It's like, guys,
Nick Martin went out early with an injury, I think.
Did he? Because he played late too in this game.
I thought he got concussed.
No, maybe. But overall, I would say huge win for the Niners, especially since you got to think that when you get to we're in late November. I mean, we're literally days away from December, and the 49ers haven't had their bye week yet. They've played every single week of football since the summer. I mean, I think it's a great testament to their endurance as a football team to be able to go this far without a bye. And I do think Shanahan deserves some major credit. I mean, you could make an argument that it's Vrabel in the AFC and maybe Shanahan in the NFC as coach of the year candidates. And who knows? I mean, we may get that. We may get the Patriots Niners. Now, I don't know if how the NFC playoffs are going to go, but after watching Green Bay and Detroit the other day and watching some of these other teams, I'm like thinking to myself, you know what? A lot of these, and it's wide open. The NFC is absolutely wide open. If I told you, the NFC playoff picture, who do you like? I mean, it's like you could make an argument for every single team. Bears are hot. Rams look like the most complete team. Eagles are the defending champions. Buccaneers are pretty damn good. Seattle's got a really good defense. Packers have a really good defense. Niners have all the experience. The Lions might be the most talented team, and they're the 8th seed. Dallas might be the hottest team, and they're the 9th seed. They may not even get in. So, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I think the NFC playoffs are wide open. And if you told me that the Niners had to play in Green Bay, in Seattle, in Tampa, in Philly, in LA, in Detroit, in Dallas, I would say what I'm sure the players would all say, bring it on. I don't see a matchup. Obviously, you don't want to play the Rams in LA. That's probably the most unfavorable matchup there is. Mm-hmm. But the Niners have already beaten the Rams in LA this year. So it's hard to be like, oh, man, with their backup quarterback nonetheless. So it's wide open. It is wide open in the NFC. And the 49ers have to love where they're at going into the bye week. They're 4-1 in the division. They're 8-2 in the conference. I mean,
that's what I was going to flag.
Yeah, I mean, nobody else is 8-2 in the conference. They don't have. There's not one team. They get the best conference record in the NFC. And some of these teams that we think are good, like Detroit's 4-4 in the conference. Tampa's 5-3 in the conference. The big bad Rams are 4-3 inside the NFC. So looks good. Things are coming together. And here's the thing. 49ers haven't been able to win a Super Bowl, and they've had some really good shots at it, right? They had a really good team that lost to the Rams in the NFC Championship game. They had a really good team with Purdy that lost after he got his elbow ripped out in Philly. They had a really good team both times they faced Kansas City in the Super Bowl, and they haven't gotten it done. Wouldn't it be ironic if the 49ers got their ring in a year where they didn't even trade for anybody at the deadline because nobody really thought they had much of a chance, and most people had given them up for dead? I mean, despite their good record and impressive season thus far, if you had a show right now, NFL, playoff Super Bowl contenders, I don't think anybody's going to be too hot to trot on the Niners. I really don't. So maybe this is their year. Maybe they'll get lucky.
The team I think that poses the biggest threat to the Niners is the Rams. Even though they've beat the Rams once this year, and they have that NFC West, whatever, you play them a lot, so you know them. I just think that their offense matches really well against the Niners defense. I think the Niners defense is going to be the Achilles heel of them making a deep run. So I just think that I'm not just saying this because I saw it in the game. I mean, it literally happened 3 weeks ago, but the Niners defense is not, veteran enough, skilled enough to deal with Puka Nacua and Matt Stafford and Devontae Adams, that pass scheme that they have. I just think that offensively they would just walk all over the Niners. That would be my biggest worry for the Niners.
Here's the other question. Is the 7 seeds in the NFC right now, are those the 7 playoff teams, or do you think somebody else gets in? Because the Niners coming right now are the 7 seed. So if anybody below them gets in, Lions and Cowboys come to mind. Somebody's going to have to be out. And, it may be the Niners, it may be Green Bay, it may be Seattle. I'm not sure who's going to be on the outside looking in, but what do you think? Do you give Dallas or Detroit much of a shot? Any of you guys?
Yeah, I do. I think that Seattle's been a hot team. I still don't know how good they are. I know that their defense is ferocious, but can you let a rookie just terrorize you? I mean, you can't devise a defense to stop that guy. I mean, it's been unbelievable to me how he's just walked all over the league. I don't want to butcher his name. Kid from Ohio State.
Who's that?
Jimba, the wide
Jackson
Smith and the Jigba.
I mean, that is shocking to me how dominating he's been. So I'm still up in the air about Seattle. I mean, Detroit doesn't play conventional football. As much as people like Campbell, and I like Campbell, he does some wacky stuff. I'm like, dude, this is not conventional football.
Yeah, he's so overrated.
I mean,
come on, man. He's a terrible coach. I mean, he's a great coach as far as, the guys love him. He's a terrible X's and O's coach. I mean, he blew the NFC Championship game against the Niners, and he does this all the time. He'll go for it on fourth down constantly 4 or 5 times in a game. I mean, they lose games they should win. Detroit, I'll say this though. A few weeks ago, when Detroit beat Baltimore on the national TV game, I thought that night I was looking at the Super Bowl champions. I really thought they were going to win it all. But now here we are. It's a month later. The football season's so long, and it's like Kansas City and Baltimore may not make the playoffs. How about that?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like you see like the Lions and the Eagles with just the past, let's say 2 or 3 years, like they had the best offensive lines in the league. Hurts and Goff didn't even get touched. This year, just a little bit of injury, a little bang up. The offensive line goes from an A+ to like an A-, and all of a sudden it's like Goff is, shitting down his leg, and Jalen Hurts looks completely inept and, leads the league in scoreless halves. If you look at the schedule coming up, we have a treat on Thursday Night Football. Lions Cowboys. That is going to probably decide who has a shot. And the Lions have the Cowboys and then the Rams.
Where's that game?
That is in Detroit.
That's this Thursday?
That's this Thursday.
Ooh, gosh, that's going to be good because Dallas is really rolling. But I got to think Detroit's going to win that game.
They got to win that.
Yeah, I mean, Detroit, did you see the Detroit news from today, though, by the way? They were trying to pull Frank Ragnow out of retirement to be their center because he's maybe a future Hall of Famer, definitely an all-pro type center. He didn't pass his physical, so he's not going to be able to come back. So that's it. They made that announcement today, to get the plan to get Ragnow back in there at center. Not going to happen. It's not going down.
I should pull up the sleeper lineup. We post them even when we lose. This is our lineup today here from Sleeper. McCaffrey did hit his touchdown, but we missed.
We had Purdy over the pass yards. Okay, we had Junkins anytime touchdown. That didn't happen, and we had Shador with a pick. Yeah, Shador took really good care of the football. He really did. And the Niners did as well, and we can sit there and talk about, the Niners' lack of a passing attack and this and that, and they didn't have many passing yards, but that might be the trade-off to play. Would you rather Purdy have big stats, but mix in a couple turnovers and that kind of go for it mode, or would you rather him take better care of the football? I mean, I look at the NFL and the way these games go. If you win the turnover battle, you win most of the time. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you know what? If I could say one thing to Brock Purdy, I would say do everything you got to do that you normally do, compete like crazy, but take care of the ball. Take care of the ball and, stop throwing stop throwing softball ducks in the middle of the field that get picked. And as long as he does that, I you know what? I like Brock Purdy's chances. I like the Niners' chances in the playoffs. You got to remember this. The Niners have lost Super Bowls. The Niners have lost their quarterback in an NFC championship game. The Niners have been through some emotional moments with this group of players. There's a resiliency that the Niners should be able to show in the postseason that these other teams probably don't have. And that would be my one feeling about the 49ers is that, I don't know if they can do it, but I know the moment's not going to be too big for the Niners. They're not going to get into a game on the road against the Rams and just be like, oh my God, and just whiz down their leg. I don't see it. They may get beat by a better team, but they're not going to beat themselves when you put the money on the table in January. And interestingly, Saleh said 2 weeks ago, they said, what's your goal for your defense? He's like, I just told the guys, I want us to be playing our best ball in January. Well, I mean, that's a cocky thing to say when you're when you got a young defense, but it's also the right thing to say because it basically says to those guys, hey, guys, get better every day. The season's still going. And we expect to do big things in December and January, and we expect you to rise to the occasion. And that's a great expectation for a coach. I mean, how valuable is Robert Saleh? The Niners are dead last in sacks, and yet they've allowed fewer points than the Browns. I mean, with no sacks, with 12 sacks or whatever they had, 18 sacks for the year or whatever it is. Pretty amazing stuff.
Here's a good thing about Robert Saleh. I thought there was a chance that the 49ers could lose him this year. But looking at the landscape of the NFL, and I don't think that he is interested in going to college. Otherwise, I think his name would have been out there.
But I think they may still lose him this year, Frank. I really do.
So?
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't think so, 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. But then I was reading an article this week about the coaching carousel this offseason. And a lot of speculation is that Saleh is going to be highly coveted, largely because he's got such good relationships with guys, offensive coaches who are in the Shanahan tree, and that there's so many teams that like this offense and want this offense that they may, if he can bring LaFleur, or if he can bring, an offensive coach from the Shanahan tree, maybe McDaniel, if he gets dumped in Miami. That was the speculation. I saw the team that they speculated Saleh would go to is Tennessee. They're saying maybe Tennessee will try to bring in an offensive guy to develop Cam Ward, and then they also want a good defensive coach with him. So they think that he might get the gig simply because he can bring a Shanahan disciple with him on the offensive side. We'll see. I would have thought a month ago that, it may take a year, maybe two before he gets another go. But, the fact that the Jets were so bad after he left and haven't been good since he left probably also helps him.
Tennessee's a good call. I wasn't thinking about Tennessee, but they, they have an interim coach now. I mean, that's a great landing spot if he wants to be in Tennessee. The other spot is the Raiders, but I don't think he wants to deal with that dysfunction. Because I mean, if you're going to move on from Pete Carroll, then Robert Saleh is the type of guy that I think that you probably want in there. Tennessee is a pretty obvious landing spot, though. I would agree with that.
Jacob Gordon says Nick Martin was concussed early on. I didn't see that. He got a concussion early on. I never saw that.
Yeah, I missed that, but I'm choosing to believe. On the Saleh front, I feel like I think the Niners are kind of lucky that he had the coaching experience that he had with the Jets. I think it's most likely that it's a Spags situation where Spags went and he tried to be a head coach for the Giants, didn't really work out. And now he's the DC for, a dynasty team with a great culture. And it's just a great spot to be in. And if I'm Robert Saleh, it's like, just be the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. It's a great freaking gig. And you know what? It's also one of these gigs. Pay him. It's also one of these gigs where it's like, he can leave. Like, it's not like, oh my God, I must leave. This is my year where I'm like a hot name and I must leave. No, he's going to have the option. Jobs are going to open up over the next 3-4 years. If he stays with the 49ers, keeps performing like this, they're going to keep talking about him. And he should absolutely be more selective. Tennessee, I would not go there. I'm not a Cam Ward guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and it's hard to say what Cam Ward eventually is going to be. I think he's kind of a gamer. He's learning the NFL system right now. It's going to be a huge challenge. I mean, I'll say this for Saleh though. I would just flat out, I agree with you, Ryan. I would flat out just say, we just listed the really bad organizations in pro football. If somebody that's not a really bad organization that has a culture that is almost impossible to turn around, if one of those teams that's actually viable came knocking for Saleh, if I was Saleh, I'd go. But if it's Raiders, no. If it's he was with the Jets already. Raiders, no. I mean, there's 3 or 4 teams that are like that are just like the head coach alone can't just change everything about the organization. So if it's Raiders or be a DC for the Niners for another year, I think I would go. If I was Shanahan, I'd go to Jed and say, Jed, we just took on another investor. Let's throw $3 million of our new $780 million of new money. Let's throw $3 or $4 million towards Saleh, and let's keep him here for the next couple of years, and let's get this ring, and then move on. Because right now he's so much the right guy for them, and I get a chance to talk to him each week once. He has a little presser every week, and there's been several weeks where, man, the vibe was kind of not very good, and then he walks in the room and just kind of changes the whole vibe. So if he has an ability to do that with the media, he also has an ability to do that with the players. And I think that's really valuable, especially when you have young players. And they really believe in Saleh. They really believe in Gus Bradley. So, I mean, as much continuity as you can have. I mean, we talk about Kansas City. Well, what does Kansas City have that nobody else has? They just have this unbelievable amount of continuity. Yeah. Taub's been the special team coordinator for 20 years. Spags has been the D coordinator for a decade. Reed's been there forever. Mahomes has been there now seemingly forever. Same with Kelsey. So they have this continuity that is just awesome. And there was a great article by Jeff Howe in The Athletic at the beginning of the year about how every time you change out your coach and your GM and start new, you're really starting fresh, and you're trying to beat teams that have been together, for a decade. And it's what are the odds that you're going to be able to put together something to be able to beat a team that has that kind of continuity? So I think teams ought to embrace continuity, unless you have just the superstar coach. I think it's pretty obvious that Ben Johnson is the superstar coach, and that was who the Raiders wanted. And there's talk this morning on some of the pregame shows that the Raiders are going to fire Pete Carroll.
Have to.
And Tom Brady's number one choice was he wanted Ben Johnson. All right, guys, if you could do this, if you could hang out and talk for a couple minutes, I've got to jump to the KMBR thing. Kev's going to jump right back in the room in a minute. He's just it's loud where he's at. But I will be back in about 5 minutes. I just have to jump in over for a couple minutes. Right?
No
Frank,
problem.
you guys can hold down the fort. There's Kev's back in the room. So I'll jump out, but I'll be right back.
What's up, guys? Sorry, I had to jump rooms here.
Oh, good. Have you been paying attention to these games? Can we get an update on? Looks like I think Trey Lance got in the game for the Chargers. Herbert's wrist got hurt, and then Darnold went in the medical tent. Apparently, doesn't look very good. I'm taking all of this from the chat.
Yeah, I have not been watching those games, but what are the scores here? Yeah, I mean, the shocker of the day has to be, it's the Rams losing to the Panthers, which is funny to watch right after the Niners destroyed the Panthers. But offensively, they were just a much better team today. Let's see the scores here.
The Panthers are one of those weird teams like the Browns. They're just a completely different animal at home. At home, they actually look pretty damn good. On the road, they're completely disgusting. All right, Herbert's back. That's good. Yeah, if Seattle goes down tonight, that would be really nice.
What are the early predictions on Niners Titans? What's the line there? What do we think?
I don't think you can make it large
Niners
enough.
by 27.
I mean, we're honestly like every year people get hyperbolic and like say the team that's the best might be the best team and blah, 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 or the worst team. This is the worst team and blah, blah, blah. I don't think I've ever seen a team as bad as Tennessee. I genuinely don't. Their only win was maybe the most improbable win of all time. The one where they beat the Cardinals and like Demercado dropped the ball going into the end zone. And then like they did some weird shit where they like fumbled, or Cam Ward like fumbled forward and then they recovered it and one by one.
It literally was one of the most incredible, like for the Cardinals, terrible losses in franchise history, with one of the worst plays probably in a regular season game that I can remember in terms of how that play impacted the game in the comeback. That's their only win. Like,
it's their only win.
That's how they won. That's how they're not a complete lossless team right now. Yeah, 25-3 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Lawrence goes for 229 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jacoby Myers had 90 yards and a touchdown. I mean, really, really, really bad. The funny thing about that one is like there was a lot of crap given out to Caleb Williams when he joined the league, and I myself included. Like I just was never a believer of his generational title that he was given coming out of college. I don't think that he can't be good, but I just felt like he's generational, he's the next Mahomes was a little crazy, and I still think that is crazy. But I don't think we've kind of leveled out on Caleb Williams right now. No one's talking about Cam Ward right now. I feel like no one wants to say that he's a bust yet because his team is just so bad. But what do you guys think of Cam Ward?
I think I saw Cam Ward at Cal, right? Last year I went to the game. One of the most beautiful Saturday nights among a gazillion beautiful days in the Bay Area. I saw the guy throw like 3-4 picks against Cal and then rally them back to actually win the game. But here's the thing. When you evaluate athletes, forget about football and basketball. It's a couple of things you look at. Footwork and shoulders and hands. Cam Ward has terrible footwork. Shador has excellent footwork. Cam Ward's throwing motion is like Bernie Kosar. There's only one Bernie Kosar. And hopefully Bernie Kosar gets well. This dude is going through a real tough medical situation now. But his trajectory on his balls are like neck level. That's a problem. You got to be really, I mean, it's not a conventional throwing motion. So that concerns me. His ability to read defenses concerns me. You don't throw 4 picks against Cal, so I got serious concerns. And like when I hear his comments talking after the game, I can't really draw any definitive conclusions. But when I hear Tom Brady talk football about calling a play, it's like poetry, like those key variables I haven't got from Cam Ward. And this NFL thing happens really, really fast. So I'm concerned. Bad footwork, low trajectory on his throwing motion, all those things concern me.
Yeah, call me crazy, but I think Will Levis is a much better player. Like Will Levis did hilarious things last year. He did some crazy shit.
Yeah.
But I mean, Cam Ward, I just never liked him. Even in college, part of it was I was just hating on Miami, but he did this thing like he looks really good and comfortable back there. He's got this kind of like Le'Veon Bell sort of gimmick thing where he just looks like super slow and control, and it makes you feel like he has poise, but in reality he has zero poise. He has absolutely zero poise. Just a terrible pick. The Titans are making terrible decisions, getting rid of Vrabel, letting go. I honestly think letting go of Levis. Cam Ward stinks. Okay, so apparently Max Brosmer on a 4th and 1 on like the goal line or something just threw a pick 6. So that game might be already over. Sick. The next Purdy, Max Brosmer.
Well, he's in Minnesota, right? You see it now?
Yeah.
I don't even know who he is.
No,
that's
in Minnesota.
JJ has a low trajectory on his passes also. Although I like him, but I mean,
he's terrible.
I mean, they were making him out to be like the next American Idol. I'm like, yeah, I mean, come on now. This is football.
That's why
this is not a made up after school special. This is football. He's not playing good football right now.
That's why it's like one of those things where it's like when you know.
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy's like that he's not good, and he's just not good right now. Maybe he'll get better, but it's pretty. I don't know. Some of the throws he makes are just pretty mind-numbing.
It's like you got rid of Sam Donald for this? Really?
That's why. Cam Ward, like he makes some bad throws, but I feel like I've seen enough good throws from him where I feel like there's hope there, and that Titans team is just terrible. I mean, it's a terrible.
I haven't seen any under pressure. Have you seen some under pressure, Kev?
Yeah, I've seen. I mean, look, the team he's playing on a terrible team. Literally terrible. Alec Iomanor, Shamiri DK or whatever his name is, like he's not throwing to anyone that is worth anything. Their best running back's Tony Pollard. Their offensive line's just okay to bad. Like it's just a bad team, a bad situation. I think that just gives me pause. Where JJ McCarthy, it's like I don't know. It's like you're throwing at Justin Jefferson, man. Like,
oh, dude, and like Jefferson's like the guy averages like 94 yards a game for his career, and he's down to like 60 this year. Also, like Jordan Addison, just a complete stud. Like even with Carson Wentz in there, guys going crazy. And then you bring him in. I mean, it's terrible for the league because the league has no like the amount of quarterback talent in the league. It feels like it's never been worse, despite kids growing up and throwing bazillion more times and being in 7-on-7 camps since they were 4 years old. Like it's never been worse. You look around the league and it's like, this is also one of those perspective things where it's like, if you're so locked in on the Niners, it's like, even if Purdy is having a rough game or what, it's like you look around the league and it's like he is miles ahead of so many of these guys. There really isn't even like the top guys. Like they're not like playing as consistent as like I mean, Lamar Jackson is having his worst year in 5 years, something like that. Yeah. He looks terrible. Just a little bit of his mobility taken away, and it's like he's a completely different player. Josh Allen's incredible. He's an A+ player. He has crazy stinkers this year. Drake May, maybe he's the most consistent guy. And then like Mahomes. I mean, Mahomes has just been quietly on the downward trajectory for the last 4 years. Makes no sense. He plays like he's like a 38-year-old version of Mahomes, and he should be in his prime. Weird.
That was one of my takeaways from this game today. Was just like, we've had this discussion about Mac Jones. Should they keep Mac Jones? I obviously, some people are saying, what are you talking about? Some people are making legitimate claims that Mac Jones should play. But I think Mac Jones in this game against the Browns would have fared much worse because Purdy was under pressure a lot. And I think that we got to see Purdy's escapability on full display. You know what I mean? Like sometimes the best plays that you make are the ones that, there's nothing to show for it in the box score. Like there was a few times where I'm confident if Mac Jones was in the game, he's taking a sack there, and we wouldn't even fault Mac Jones. It's just like pressure in his face. Someone got blown up, like it's a sack. Next play. But Purdy's able to evade, throw the ball away, move on. Where Mac Jones, like yes, he's a great passer. The offense looks great with him, but he doesn't move like Purdy. So
my favorite thing in the entire game was the read option where he kept it and ran it into the end zone. Because it's just like putting that on tape. It's, McCaffrey's been better about getting into the end zone, running the ball for rushing for touchdowns. But if you remember like the beginning of the season, like even to like week 8, it's like he was struggling to punch the ball in. And it's like just giving that option, putting that on tape is like going to open things up for McCaffrey. I see it with like, I'm a Derrick Henry fantasy owner in a couple leagues. And it's like Lamar is just not doing that anymore. Last year, it was like all these read options. And like, everyone was frightened that he was going to pull it. And like Henry would walk in for these touchdowns. This year, they're just handing it to Henry. He's just getting stuffed.
Yeah. No, I mean, this year it's been surprising because like certain teams that we thought were just always going to be major players just aren't. Like the Chiefs are basically out of it. The Ravens are basically out of it. And those are the stalwarts of the AFC. You know, those two teams are the teams that are always making runs, and they're just not in the picture like that. And who would have predicted that? No one.
Let me say this though about the Chiefs. Dallas beat the Chiefs. The Chiefs play good football. And Mahomes over the past 3-4 weeks, dude's been balling. I mean, they were in a position to actually beat Dallas. He darts one of his wide receivers in a crucial moment, and the guy just drops the ball. It happens. I mean, that's maybe that was Worthy, or I'm not quite sure who it was, but the guy just dropped the ball as they were moving down the field. So KC might not make it this year, but Patrick Mahomes is still putting up some pretty darn good numbers, you know, but quarterback play overall is down. But I think that lends itself more to the ferociousness of the defenses around the NFL. It's easier to build a really great defense because there's so many talented players. So I don't know how we're going to change it. I don't know how me being in the NFL, but I think it's the defenses making these quarterbacks look maybe worse than they actually are because it's so good.
Yeah, it's just really weird because I don't know. It's hard. I can't tell now. I just turned 30, so I'm getting into the zone where it's like, am I going to become that guy that's like, oh, back in my day? But it's like, it really was like, I just feel like 7 years ago, and it's like you got Rodgers at the top of his game, Brady at the top of his game, Drew Brees, like these guys that were just like gods. Phillip Rivers, and Russell Wilson was awesome, and it's just like now it's like Stafford is 37 years old. The guy's never finished in top 10 in MVP, and like he's the guy. Right. It's like he's the guy who's like probably the best quarterback in the league this year. It's just like that.
No, who's really good though, and he's befuddling with some of the mistakes that he makes. But in terms of you just built a quarterback talent-wise, Love is unbelievable on Green Bay. Talent-wise, he makes some plays that you go, what the hell are you doing? But that dude can dart you, 20, 30 yards down the field. He stands in the pot. There are times in which he looks really, really good.
Yeah, he's just like, he does this weird like back foot fadeaway thing. Like it's like his signature move is like throwing this fadeaway pass.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird.
There's just a lot of quarterbacks. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Ryan. I just feel like there's a lot of quarterbacks that are in the tier of good but not great, and that's where I put Love. I'm not a huge Love guy. I actually don't. I don't know. He makes good plays, but just like the consistency is off for me. His accuracy is sometimes good. He throws a good deep ball. He's mobile, but he doesn't really seem to run a lot. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of him personally. And then it's like Lawrence is another guy. It's like should have been great, just okay to bad sometimes, but then sometimes looks great. Baker. It's like Baker Mayfield is like one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL right now, and he has his limitations.
And like unfortunately, like Baker, he actually has, I'll say, top 3 arm strength in the entire league.
Yeah,
but which is way different than Purdy. But just him being a little bit diminutive, if he gets a little banged up, he looks completely different, which is clearly what's going on right now. He's a little banged up. Yeah, it's really weird. Like you're saying, it's like the teams that you trust in the playoffs are all at the bottom of the AFC picture, the Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs. And then like you look at the NFC and it's like, man, I don't trust the Bears. I trust the Rams. I guess I trust the Eagles, but it's like, I don't trust the Bucks. And then it's like, yeah, you got these teams like the Lions and the Cowboys fighting again, Niners. It feels bizarrely opened up. If you could like put a bet on someone to win the Super Bowl, like right now, like who would you, odds aside, like who would you pick to win the Super Bowl right now? Because I still think it's really hard for me to not pick the Chiefs, even though it's like 50-50, they make it in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think the Chiefs are out. Philly or the Chiefs. I don't think the Chiefs are not quite out yet.
No,
they're hanging by a thread.
I think they're still going to make it. It's like I saw like 60% or something like that. Although they got the Chargers, Titans, Broncos, Raiders. So that should
win all of them.
That should be 3 out of 4.
Yeah.
At the minimum, probably 4 out of 4.
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough this year. The AFC is pretty. I don't think the Patriots are actually like playoff contender. Not playoff contenders, but like I don't think they are Super Bowl contenders. Like in terms of really gonna. I really think they have a chance to win it. I think May's too young. The Broncos offensively, they struggle a lot. Obviously, their defense is really solid, but I just feel like the Broncos could easily be stopped offensively. I really like the Rams this year. I think think the Rams are just really firing. Obviously, they just lost today, so they can be beat. But Stafford just looks really good, and he looked terrible today in terms of the turnovers and that turnover at the end. They could have tied the game. They probably should have won that game, but I just think that they're kind of morphing into this all around really good team.
The only thing about Stafford and the Rams, and I would agree with you, aesthetically, when I watch like precision on offense, the Rams are the best team. But I'm concerned about injuries with Stafford. I mean, I don't think they really have a backup plan. And, that concerns me because this dude's body is really broken down. And he's kind of went through the season, had a great offensive line, and he can dart you from anywhere. But if he's healthy, okay, fine. But I'm not confident that he's going to make it through the season without getting tattooed. I'm just not healthy about it. I'm not confident about that.
Let's I don't have the read in front of me, but we'll do some players of the game. I think Larry's going to be joined here in a few minutes here,
Sure.
But I don't know. Let's go around the room here. Ryan, you start us, but players of the game from this interesting win, Browns-Niners.
I'm going to say Kittle. I thought Kittle was a monster. I mean, Larry already kind of made this point, but Kittle was a monster today. He's whatever. He had 4 for 67 or something, I think, led the Niners. It was really him and Juwan Jennings were like the guys. And every single one of those like Kittle catches were contested, and he was just getting swarmed by like 5 dudes at once. And that catch that was a remarkable catch. The one that at the end of the half where it got like pulled out, but he was already down. So I just feel like he still is like such the emotional heartbeat of the team. And I think without Kittle today, I'm not sure if they win the game if they don't have Kittle today.
Mill Ticket says Larry lied. He said he was going to be gone for 5 minutes. Was I gone for more than 5? All right, should we hit some of our supers, guys? Have we already?
We're doing Habbas. We're doing Habbas players of the game here, and then
players of the supers. Game. How have you? Who's given their player of the game? All of you, or?
I just went Kittle.
Okay, go ahead, Frank.
I was thinking about this during the game, and I'm going to go with Juwan Jennings because I'm a Juwan guy. I just love how he's playing football right now. I mean, I think this is the guy that Shanahan said we got to have. Everything is contested. I mean, similar to what Rye says about Kittle. And when I look at Kittle, you know what? Tell me if I'm being hyperbolic, but I think this guy's the best tight end in the history of the 49ers. I mean, John Frank, you got Brent Jones.
Vernon Davis.
Yeah, Vernon Davis. I'm going with Kittle. I love how this guy plays football. Now, he's going to take 2 years off of his career because he's such a bulldog. But he's one of the few athletes that I would actually like to meet and say, yo, dude, I rock with you. Because I know a lot of athletes. I love how he plays football. I'm going to go with Juwan Jennings because he is building the resume that he envisioned at the start of this year. He's going to be very attractive in free agency.
You would love JJ if you got to talk to him, too. He's all about the W. You know what I mean? He's like an old school throwback guy. And I'll tell you, too, the other thing is he's just one of these guys that's just super competitive, right? Mm-hmm. So this week, 49er, the 49er Brianna Janelle, I believe, for the 49ers. Her name was Brianna McDonald, and she changed it, but I think it's Janelle. But she did a thing, and she does like a thing where she'll go into the locker room and she'll interview some of the players, and sometimes they'll ask them, the other day they were all going to practice and she got everybody's full name. And she's like, Chadrarian Jr. West, and he goes by CJ and he's like, whoa, how'd you get that? And she was throwing people's middle names and all that. And she does some fun stuff with the players. This week, they had a thing where they handed them a ping pong paddle and a ping pong ball, and there were cups stacked up, and you had to hit they counted the number of times that you could hit the ping pong ball to get all the cups to knock down, right? And so every guy did it. Some guys took him 16 tries. Some guys took him 10 tries. JJ looks at it. He comes over, he looks at it, and he's thinking about it, and he does, and everybody else is like trying to do it as hard as possible. He's just like bounces it softly and aims for the right in the middle, knocks the thing down. It took him three ping pong balls to knock the whole thing down. I think the next closest was like 7. So, I mean, even on something like that, just a game that they're playing that means nothing before practice, he's still like the best. And like when you watch JJ, Frank, they have a half court basket in their locker room, right? And the guys will shoot hoops on it. And it was kind of janky. It was kind of a temporary one. This year they got a real one, like a real rim, and they put it up there regulation. JJ can sit there from 25 feet out and just drain threes.
Wow.
He's a ridiculous shooter. So it's like, some guys they're just winners, and they're great athletes, and it doesn't matter if you're playing Monopoly or whatever, they're just going to win. And that's what he is. He's just going to win.
I remember
it's good to have guys like that on your team.
I remember 3 years ago or whatever it was when I was in the locker room, and we were going around asking guys. I don't think it was on camera or anything, but we were just asking guys who was the best basketball player. And I would say 9 out of 10 said JJ.
Yeah. And even like Trent Williams, gigantic 6'6", 350 pound, whatever he is. He can sit there from 25 feet away and tickle the twine. I mean, I saw him make a couple threes the other day, and I'm like, you're Mo Spates. And he's like, who's Mo Spates? I'm like, Mo Spates. He used to play for the Warriors. And, anyway, but yeah, I mean, when you're a pro athlete, these guys can, it's like people are like, oh, well, I could beat him in this sport. No, you can't beat a pro athlete at any sport. They're going to beat you at all the sports, including sports they don't play, like golf, All right. So who hasn't given theirs? Kev, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to stick to my Keon White theme here. I just think that the situation the Niners are now, where they need pass rushers, Keon White just come up huge. It's huge. 6'7" pick swap for Keon White. I mean, that's huge value, man. You basically got him for free. I mean, that's nothing. So I pulled this stat from NFL Next Gen Stat. Keon White generated pressure on 28.6% of his pass rushes this week against the Browns. That's the second highest pressure rate in any game of his career. So you're getting a young player who's ascending into his prime, and you did it for nothing. So just huge value add for the Niners, and great game today.
So Frank went JJ, you went with Keon. Rye, you went with Kittle?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to go, I'm a real big believer in momentum. And, at the beginning of this game, Niners didn't have any momentum, right? The Niners asked for the ball first, and then were forced to punt. Couldn't drive it even into Browns territory. Drove it to about midfield, then were forced to punt. And then the Browns, drove the ball, and they were forced to punt. So the Niners had zero momentum on the road, cold weather, good defense, didn't look good in the first series. And Sky Moore takes one back 66 yards. And the next play is 1st and 10 from the Browns 16-yard line. And sure enough, a few plays later, CMC goes in from 1 yard out, right up the middle, 7-0 49ers. I know there were probably, you could go with Purdy, and there were guys that did more in this game than Sky Moore. But, man, that momentum is such a big thing, especially on the road. And man, when you can be that guy who gives your team just this super huge shot in the arm, with, a big play that almost leads directly to points, that's major. So I'm gonna go with Sky Moore. Sky Moore with the 66-yard punt return after the Browns' first drive failed, set the Niners up at the 16, and they scored from there, and they never looked back. So I'm gonna say Sky Moore. Great kid too. All right, so now let's do our.
You should do the Habbas read.
Okay, yeah, we're of course brought to you by Habbas Law, 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right. Visit them on the web at habbaslaw.com, Habbas law.com. Thanks to Habbas Law for being a great sponsor of the Krueger Show. And right now, hunger is hitting our community hard. Families are trying to hold it together. Veterans are quietly struggling. Even teachers who care for our kids. As the school holidays begin, thousands of children will lose one meal they can count on. So join Habbas Law team in the fight against hunger. This is one of the main reasons I love Habbas Law. They are very community oriented, and they are partnering with Loaves and Fishes. Loaves and Fishes, if you're unaware, is a lifeline serving hot, dignified meals, no judgment, no barriers. So join Omar Habbas, Tarek Habbas, and the Habbas Law team. Visit loavesfishes.org. Habbas Law, fighting to end hunger, fighting to make it right. Loaves and Fishes was founded back in 1980, and their first meal served fed 15 children and 11 adults. They serve Santa Clara and San Mateo counties. They feed anyone experiencing hunger, homelessness, or food insecurity. The one thing, we're coming off of Thanksgiving weekend. I think the one thing that we all have in common here is that the four of us have an awful lot to be very, very thankful for in this world, and not everybody does. So this is something that I care a lot about, and I'm glad that that Habbas Law does as well. Loaves, once again, if you can go, and if you can't do anything to help them, I totally get it. If you can, visit the website Loaves, Loaves, Fishes, Fishes, loavesfishes.org, and make a donation and help feed people that are less fortunate than ourselves this holiday season. And thanks to Habbas Law, 1-800-INJURED. They will fight to make it right, and they're invested in the community, and that is absolutely really, really cool. All right, and thanks to Habbas Law for doing those kinds of initiatives. Really proud to be associated with them. Let's hit our supers. We'll hit our supers, and then we'll go game balls. We got this one from Beats and Meats. Very disappointed that Turdy didn't throw for 9 touchdowns against one of the best defenses in the NFL when it's freezing cold and windy. Shaking my head. Yeah, let's not call him Turdy. Something every time I hear Turdy, it makes me think of
who said that? Yeah, someone said Brock Turdy. Who started that?
Florio.
Oh yeah.
Did we start with that one for a reason, or did you already get these other ones?
That's the first one.
That's not the first one. This is the first one. It says, "Teach me how to Dougie. Teach me how to Dougie." Okay,
that's a by the way.
Brock hit the Dougie once he on the read option. It's his touchdown celebration.
Oh, I guess
it's a dance move.
Oh, it's a dance. Okay, there you go. I didn't know that. Larry, what is your take on BA? My take on BA is that this is the weirdest thing of all time. I mean, the 49ers wanted to get out from the money, but it sounds like Lynch and Shanahan want him back on the team. So what is it? It's like I almost get the feeling that Lynch and Shanahan are operating differently than Jed and Parag. Jed and Parag said we want our money back. They got their money back. But now Lynch and Shanahan are like, we want the player back. We like him. He can help us. He's a good football player. So I don't know. I mean, either they're just talking about wanting him back and they really have no desire to have him back and they're really in lockstep with one another, or there's a divide in the organization between the ownership and the football operations department, which could be the case. I don't know, but I would say that if you asked me the first 2 weeks ago or a week ago, whenever the story came out, I would have said, oh yeah, for sure. He's gone. He'll be gone at the end of the year. They'll release him or trade him. Now, I would probably lean towards that as the conclusion, but I don't think it's a fait accompli. So this is such a weird story. When was the last time you saw somebody in ownership in the NFL take away guaranteed money from a player and the player not fight it, and then the coach and the general manager talk like they still want the player on the team? So, I mean, how could you possibly think that he would come back and play for you when you've taken away his guarantees? Either there's more to this story than meets the eye, there's a disconnect between the front office and the ownership, or the Lynch and Shanahan are just talking crazy talk for whatever reason that they have, and this guy's gone at the end of the year. I don't know. What's your guys' read?
I have no idea, but speaking of Florio, this seems like the kind of thing Florio would just, be slobbering about. He loves like getting into all the like fan fiction of like legal precedents and all that kind of crap. I have no idea. I mean, to be honest, I'm kind of out on Aiyuk at this point. If he comes back, all right, nice. But it kind of just feels like, let's just get a clean break. They got pretty lucky if they don't have to pay. Yeah, okay.
If coming back would be the most Aiyuk thing ever. Just like, what? Like, what are we doing here? Like, that's how this entire situation has basically been.
Yeah, I think he's done. I think there's some good football left in his body. Leaning into that, why would you risk yourself going out and getting injured? Even if you love your teammates and you want to see your team be successful, if you go out there and you get injured and you have no guaranteed money, what agent, what person would allow you to do that? It's crazy.
Well, and then also, what receiver can we name that had just a devastating injury that came back and was the same player? I don't know. So I'd have to say he's probably diminished as a player. But the way Lynch, is talking about him, the way Shanahan's talking, the quote from Lynch was like, yeah, there was a story that came out earlier this week, but that was quite a few months ago, and we're beyond that now. Well, okay, but so are you giving him back his guaranteed money? No. So you still took away all the guaranteed money. So what do you mean you're beyond it now? So you're beyond it. You've got all your guaranteed money back. Is he beyond it? Something tells me he's probably not beyond it. So I the whole thing is so strange. I don't know what to say. I don't have any inside sources, but judging by Lynch and Shanahan, I'd say that Aiyuk is going to be back at some point this year and might play for them and might be on the team next year. Based on the first report of what they did to his contract, I would say they're going to trade him in the offseason. So I don't know. I'm not even sure what to say about it, really. We got this one. Oh, that was that one. We got this one. Nick says, must be said, Mac couldn't have won this. 5 sacks, easy. Curious if the cold helped Brock at all. Numbed him a little. Kept the adrenaline up. What'd you guys think of Brock today? I thought his movement ability was pretty damn good. Like, if you told him, I didn't see anything today from him movement-wise that was different than Brock at full strength. He looked to be moving well today.
Yeah, that's it's definitely the best he's moved. It's hard to I would have to go back and watch because he was turning into kind of like prime Russell Wilson, a year ago, 2 years ago, in terms of escapability, kind of wild. And his his quickness, his burst. Getting out of that one sack from Garrett was pretty sweet. He also, he did a lot of rolling to the right.
He
very
moved
smart.
He did roll. He rolled to his left a few times too.
Yeah.
Or maybe he was flush to his left.
And I like that he threw the ball away. He does that, the roll to the left with his arm strength. I know he wants to make a play, but I'm just glad he was throwing the ball away. And then Larry, I think while you were gone, I was saying, I think my favorite play of the entire game was the read option. Just to put that on tape. Put that on tape, just so CMC just doesn't get completely stonewalled every single time. Just give team something to think about in terms of that.
I love that too. Wasn't expecting to see that, and that was a great one. Harry Johnson says Keon White and Cleve Farrell proving to be great pickups. Oh, no question, especially when you think of the cost. They basically gave nothing for Farrell, and they in a pick swap in the day 3 pick swap for Keon White. PWS White absolutely bulldozed Judkins on that one play. Oh, he did.
Yeah, that was sick.
The nice thing about Keon White is he's super athletic at that size. So he gives you another kind of physical, dominant player DeBig says, despite the Browns' record, this was an impressive win by the Niners. Browns have one of the best D lines, and Schwartz is one of the best DCs. Yeah, no question. And Shanahan was 1-8 against Schwartz coming in. Harry Johnson, Purdy hit the Dougie. That's the dance you guys are talking about. Matthew Short, why can't we get Ricky Pearsall involved in the offense? Yeah, I mean, that if there was a negative here, and I don't want to beat up Ricky, but first-round draft choice. I mean, once again, 2 catches for 14 yards. That's all he's getting. Are you telling me that Purdy does Purdy not want to throw it to him? Is it on Purdy? Is it on Shanahan? Is it on Ricky? I'll say this. I don't like the, hey, he's always open. Stop it. I mean, you just can't do that. I mean, you can't tell me somebody's always open that's not producing. It's, if you're always open, the ball's going to find you. That's typically the way the world works. But yeah, I mean, 2 catches, not enough.
He's suffering from, and this predates Wiggins to the Warriors, but like it used to be like kind of like Andrew Wiggins syndrome when he was on Minnesota. It's like you could watch an entire quarter and you just don't even realize that he's in the game. Like you don't even realize he's out there. And it's like all of a sudden, he gets the ball and scores. It's like, oh, hey, Andrew Wiggins. Oh, hey. He just disappears. And it's like, that's how I felt about Pearsall today. I was like, is Pearsall playing? And then all of a sudden he had like 1 catch. And I was like, oh, hey, Pearsall. Hey.
They're just coasting. And they're not like, they're both, neither of those guys are like, it ain't going down over, it's going down over my dead body. It's like, they're not like that. They're more like, hey, it's fun. I'm having fun. It's loose. I'm cool. I'm young. It's like Wiggins lacked intensity, I thought. And I feel like Ricky is a great guy and he's likable, but JJ's like has that burning, like, I will win and you will get me the ball and I demand the ball. I'd like Ricky to have a little bit more of that. Like, get me the damn freaking ball and let me cook. I'd like to see that kind of attitude. And instead he's kind of like, hey, I'm just along for the ride, and if I can contribute, great. And it's like, you're a first-round draft choice. You need to be more than just along for the ride.
And the Browns' corners are very physical, and Pearsall, I feel like if he gets jammed at the line, he's just out of the play.
Just taken away. And also, what I would say, people are like, Krug, you're too harsh on Pearsall. So I went and watched the All-22 the last couple of weeks just to see exactly what he was doing, what exactly. And there were plays where he was open, but he's open late. He's never open early. And that's because when he gets muscled at the line, he'll reroute, and then he's not open for 3 or 4 more steps. So he's not winning early enough in these routes, and that's why the ball's not finding him. He's winning late, and he's like, oh, look at Ricky down the field, wide open. Okay. But where was he open on the first 3 steps? Was he open on the steps 4, 5, 6, or was he not open until step 12? Because at that point, maybe Brock's already moved on to another target. So it's not just getting open; it's can you get open quickly and give your quarterback an option early in the play. And we're not seeing that from him, so that's kind of a downer. LB Greek Kid says Niners Bears game could be for the 1 seed. Is that true? Could the Niners-Bears game be for the 1 seed? I guess it could be if the Rams lose again, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if
they 9-3,
if the Niners
9-4, 9-4.
If the Niners win out, they have a shot at the 1 seed. That Bears game, I have a couple Bears fan buddies, and we're thinking about, because I'm going to be in the Bay Area for Christmas. I think it's on the 28th. Thinking about pulling up to that one.
Seriously, dude. Seriously,
thinking about it,
dude. If you do. Join us in the post, whether you want to join us up in the presser or if you want to join us on the phone, but we'd love to have you. DeBig says, imagine where this team would be if healthy. Oh my God. Could you imagine if they had Fred Warner and Nick Bosa and Mikkel? Oh, Bill Kennedy, JJ needs to go. JJ needs to go, wants to go, never be happy. I don't know if that's fair, but I don't even think I don't think JJ needs to go or wants to go. I think he wants to stay and maybe needs to stay. And Lynch said he's his favorite player. Shanahan is a former receiver, so he's got they have an appreciation. You got to remember, they understand that Aiyuk and Debo didn't really fire in the Super Bowl and that JJ did. They were there for that. They remember that. Those guys are going to remember that. And with Aiyuk on the books, no way JJ's coming back. But with Aiyuk off the books, I think JJ, I'd put it at 55-45 he stays. Because I think they want him to stay. And I think he'll want to stay.
And he's playing through a zillion injuries. Today actually might have been the first day where I was kind of like, oh, man, that looks like last year JJ when he was just tearing the league apart.
Totally. Miles from Frisco says, love to see Brock buying time with his feet. Mac 10 would have been eaten alive. He said wouldn't, but I think he meant would. And he hit the Dougie after his touchdown. Everybody loves that dance. Richard Marquez, Larry and folks, what does the Niners defense look like after the bye in terms of reinforcements coming back? Well, what do they look like? I mean, they're going to get Bethune back at some point. He's going to come back. Robert Beal was back today, but he's talking about the D.
Oh,
I think, I was encouraged by Robert Beal, actually. I thought Beal looked good early in this game, but they will be getting Bethune back. Other than that, I'm trying to think. Is there anybody on their defensive line that they're going to be getting back? Oh, yeah, Yatir Gross-Matos is going to be back after the bye, and he's their best interior rusher. So, I mean, I know that doesn't sound like a big name to you guys, but if Yatir Gross-Matos keeps playing the way he was playing, that's a huge addition. So he will be back after the bye weeks. That's a good one.
Also, sometimes you see like a little bit of a rookie bounce after a bye week. Is there any shot, Nick Martin comes out of the bye and is like a bigger part of this defense? Possibly.
I would say possibly. I mean, he looked good today, and then he got concussed, but he had a nice play. He was in there on the sack, or on the fourth down. No, on the 4th and 1. He was in there stuffing. It was Mustafa, Elliott, and him. Miles from Frisco says, also, why no safety? Didn't understand the call. Because they didn't call intentional grounding on that. I thought that was a bad call, actually. I thought it was obviously intentional grounding, and they called illegal hands to the face, which is half the distance to the goal. And then doesn't Shanahan have an ability to accept or decline there? Let me see. Maybe I'm confusing two different things, because Shanahan at one time opted to decline a penalty, which would have made it 4th down, to push him back. And then they didn't. Did they not get the field goal? They were going to get a field goal. He pushed him back on a penalty, and then they called a legal shift. And then that's right. It was 3rd and 10 from the 31, and Sanders went to Judy, but it was a penalty on Cleveland on an illegal shift, and the Niners opted to make Cleveland back up instead of going 4th and 10. So they made it 3rd and 15 from the 36, and then Cleve Farrell got the sack, and it was minus 13 yards, and the next play was at midfield, and they forced a punt. So that was another kind of interesting call from Shanahan, because, I mean, you could have made it 4th and 10, but maybe they kicked the field goal there. Instead, he pushed them back, and they got a sack on the next play, and they got no points out of it at all. So it was the right move in hindsight. T-Guns 80 says, Kevin, look at my pick. Aren't I handsome? Go Niners. That ain't right. That ain't right. I mean, look at that. Look at that. He's got some
perfect timing when I joined.
Got like my high school pick. I mean, Kev was probably.
Oh wait, actually,
Kev was
how
probably
did you get that photo?
I don't know. Kev was probably a baby when that was taken.
That's like a photo from your wedding.
It is. No. Yeah, seriously. I mean, look at that. Look at that dark hair. Jesus. We get this one.
So random.
That is random. We get this one from Lillant 2219. Larry, Trent Baalke impersonation on this win. I'd have to say I like our linebackers, but I got to give it to Keon White. I mean, that's a tough dude, I'll tell you. There's good guys, there's bad guys, there's tall guys, there's short guys, and then there's guys that are tough, real tough guys. And Keon White, that's a real tough guy, let me tell you.
That's spot on, Larry. That's good.
Hurts my voice to do it. Flippin' Shrub says, nice to see Purdy not force it and throw it away. Yeah, who was that? You, Rye, that said throw it away? Isn't it amazing how something as basic and as simple as throw it away? I saw an interview that Tom Brady did about 2 years ago, and they were asking him about his greatness and this and that. What separates you? And he goes, well, I think when I first came into the league, I was thinking, make a play, make a play, make a play, make a play. But after a number of years in the league, I realized make a play or don't, but don't make a negative play trying to make a play. So in other words, avoid negative plays. He's like, there were many games in my second half of my career that I won that I wouldn't have won in my early part of my career, because in my early part of the career, I would have made a few more negative plays. And in late in my career, I realized just go on to the next play, throw. And ultimately, that's what Stafford had done prior to their loss to Carolina today. Stafford's a king of picks, but when he got pressured this year, he just threw it into the ground and goes on to the next play. And that's, even though, it's a win on the play for the defense, it's also very frustrating to see, oh man, we almost got a turnover. No, we didn't. Oh, we almost got a sack. No, we didn't. So avoid negative plays. And I think Purdy might be learning that lesson. So that was great. DeBig says low point is Brendel and Renardo Green are not good. I don't know. Brendel's had a couple good weeks in a row. Renardo Green could be more physical. There's times where I would like him to be a little bit more physical, but I think he's a pretty good player, to be honest. I like Renardo Green. M. Bayless says potential trap game against the Titans. I mean, yeah, it could be. I mean, if you're just going to roll your jocks out there and be like, yeah, we got this, then they could beat you. Michael says maybe undersold how good Panthers secondary is. Yeah, it's funny. My 15-year-old was saying that as we were watching some of the Rams Carolina highlights. They're like, hey, maybe the Carolina secondary. Did JC even play today?
No, he didn't. No, he's in protocol.
Right. So I mean, he's their best player back there, and they still held the Rams in check. I didn't see that game, but
Well, the crazy thing about that game is that game should have had a completely different outcome. The Rams had the ball in the Panthers' territory with a few minutes left, in field goal range, easy field goal range, and Stafford on third down. The next play should have just been a field goal. Was trying to make a play, or not even trying to make a play. He just got stripped, and Panthers get the ball back and run it out. So that game easily could have been tied, and then who knows what happens. But yeah, like the Rams were probably going to win that game, I think.
Well, I can see right now why the Rams lost. They were -3 in turnovers. I mean, if you look at this game, Rams had 22 first downs. Carolina had 17. Rams had fewer plays, 62 to 51, but the Rams had more yards, 379 to 358. And if you look at the rushing, Rams ran for 7-2 a carry, but only ran 21 times, where the Carolina Panthers ran 4-1 a carry, but they ran 40 times. The Rams only had one penalty. Carolina had 7 penalties, but the big difference is Carolina dominated the time of possession, 35 minutes to 24, and they were +3 in turnovers.
And they were 3 of 3 on fourth down, including, I think, a touchdown.
Wow, really? Yeah. 3 of 3 on fourth down, 7 of 15. The Panthers were 10 of 18 on third and fourth downs. That's pretty good. Bryce Young, 15 of 20 and 3 touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, it's the way you play the day you play. Anybody can beat anybody in the NFL. We got a couple more here. We got this one from Thomas Selman. How about Cleve Farrell and Keon White game balls? Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We got this one from Stephen Draper, probably reworking BA's contract. Lick Scorpion, this month is history. I was 0 years old when the 49ers last beat the Browns, born on the 17th of November, 1984. So, yeah, happy birthday to me and our 49ers. Happy birthday, Lick Scorpion. I was 14 years old rooting for Joe Montana the last time the 49ers beat Cleveland in Cleveland. I mean, it's unbelievable, really. Mongreen Eggcorn says, was at the game. Browns fans shit talking after the game. What's the forecast on health after the bye week? Bethune, Yatir Gross-Matos, etc. I think they're both going to be back. I heard Yatir Gross-Matos is definitely going to be back. and that's going to help them as far as an interior rusher. And Bethune, I mean, now the nice thing about, the situation, obviously you're not getting Warner back, but at least with Bethune and Robinson, you have now multiple guys there who have game experience. So if you got to go with Bethune in the playoffs, you can do it. If you got to go to Curtis Robinson in the playoff game, he started games. I think that could have some residual effect to benefit the Niners as well by the time this thing's said and done. Lou, stop. Always. This is this kid Trickster? Loose asshole.
You don't have to read the name.
Thoughts on what Shelby Harris said about JJ? I didn't see that.
I'm just looking at it now. He said, quote, "He's a hoe. I see why you got punched in the nuts. I'm surprised no one punched him in the jaw yet." Apparently he was talking shit while Malik Collins was getting carted off.
Oh, well, that's bad. That's a bad look. All right.
That's a crazy quote, though. That's a crazy.
Seriously. I'll say this, too. Sometimes when I'm screwing around, and Ryu were in there with me a couple years ago, sometimes if there's nothing big going on, I like to ask guys questions like, the kind of tell me about your teammates kind of a thing. So I'll be like, hey, man, you're out drinking with your boys, and trouble's coming down, and all of a sudden guys are rolling up on you, or you got guys stepping up on you. Who do you want rolling up to defend you in this room? And it's a great question. You know why? Because when you ask the question, sometimes guys would just be like, Kinlaw. You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't even think about it. It's Kinlaw,
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times guys would start doing this. Oh, that's a good one. Start looking around the room. Like, who's a badass in here, kind of a thing. But a lot of guys would say Greenlaw, and a lot of guys would say Jennings. So Jennings, Shelby Harris is a big defensive lineman, so he's probably okay no matter what. But I don't know if I'd be talking too much trash to Jennings. I think Jennings might be the one guy that would tune you up.
Kinlaw was the classic one where it's just like a natural reflex, like, biggest, scariest person on the team. Yeah, Kinlaw. Yep, that's the guy.
There was an intensity to Kinlaw too. Me and him got along great, and I did some phenomenal interviews with him, and I really liked him. And he was like, he was such a good dude. I'd be like, hey man, Javon, how's it going? What do you got going the holidays? He's like, oh, my girls, I'm gonna take, we're gonna be out in Atlanta and this and that. And he's like, how about you? What are you doing with your family? I'm looking at him like, dude, you're not a football player asking a media person about his family. It's like, dude, that's just so above and beyond. I was like, oh, thanks for asking. We're going to do it at our house and this and that. Just a misunderstood guy.
Totally. I remember that was like one of our game plan things. It's like you go in there and the gangbangs are happening. It's like there's so many players you just can't talk to. And I remember one of our first game plans was like right after the Grant thing. And it was like, let's just go in there and just see if we can just get like a candid interview, like butter up Kinlaw. Just come in and just completely not be threatening at all. And he was totally awesome.
Yeah.
Super nice.
Though he did like to do the interview shirtless.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the PR people would be like, hey man, can you, and the funny thing is they wouldn't go to him and be like, hey, Javon, put a shirt on. They'd go to me and be like, hey, Krug, he needs to have a shirt on. I'm like, dude, you tell him. Yeah. You want me to tell him? And then I'm sitting there, hey man, they want you to put a shirt on. I really don't care either way. He's like, no, I'm good. I'm like, all right, no, he's good. and then I remember looking over at the PR girl going, he's good. She's like, what's she gonna do? No, you
no
have
sweat.
To
hey, man.
Yeah. But Javon.
Well, that's
Javon,
the thing about Kinlaw is you could get good interviews with Kinlaw because I think, and there's nothing wrong with this. Like people were just kind of afraid to go up to him because he's scary, big guy. He's intimidating. He's a mean-looking guy. He's nice. He's a nice.
But and then you got, don't judge the book by the cover. Just because he looks mad doesn't mean he's mad. It's just the kind of the look. But he some of the best interviews I think we did the last 3 years were extended interviews with Javon. All right,
if I could have all my defensive linemen look like that, look scared, that'd be perfect. That's the prototype look.
Oh man, he's strong as an ox and afraid of nothing. I mean, like, you'd ask him about something, and you'd be like, yeah, I'm not afraid of that. I'm like, something tells me you're not afraid of much. All right, let's go around the room. We'll finish up. Final thoughts before we bolt for the door. We're about an hour and 50 minutes into this live stream, over 3,500 people hanging out. So why don't we do this? Final thought. Rye, we'll go with you, and we'll work around the room, and then we'll call it quits.
Okay, this is I got a little distracted because I saw someone say that Myles Garrett had like 14 sacks in his last 3 games. I think I had to look it up. It is insane. It was 14-5 still, or 13-4 before this game. That is insane.
No, it was 14. And it's now 15 in 6 games. It was 14 sacks in 5 games. It's the greatest 5-game sack. It's the greatest 5-game production for sacks in the history of the NFL since they started keeping the sack stat back in 1982. That's
Jesus
amazing.
Christ. Okay, my final thought is just a large gestalt on the league. It's completely wide open. Niners are going into their bye week. I mean, they have just been through hell with all these injuries, and I can't imagine how many guys are just like banged up with nicks here and there. And it's like the Niners, they come out of the bye week, they play the Titans, who I know we were saying like, trap game, whatever. I really do think you could just roll the ball out and like, you'll be completely fine. They are going to fold. They are probably the worst team I've ever seen in my life.
And they might be playing for Mendoza, right? Or I mean, not Mendoza, but the number one pick. They could trade to the Jets for Mendoza.
Yeah, and it's again, we already said this, but it's just like more evidence. It's like you look around the league. Josh Allen right now, absolute ass versus the Steelers. Herbert doesn't look great. Darnold is up 16, but that has nothing to do with how he's playing. The league is just completely wide open. The quarterback play is all over the place, and the Niners can make a run. They absolutely they are alive for the division. It's a little bit of a long shot, but they're alive. If Seattle takes care of the Rams, they're totally alive. They kind of control their own destiny. And they can beat any of these teams in the playoffs. It's weird. Like, I don't know, whatever. A couple weeks ago, you asked me, it's like, oh, could they beat the Eagles, blah, blah, blah. And I would have said no. But it's kind of like, it's not even as much, can they beat these teams? I think these teams can just lose any game. Like the Eagles can just throw up all over themselves. They lead the league in most halves with scoreless halves. When you have the Titans in this league, they lead the league in scoreless halves. Jordan Love, you never know what you're going to get. The Lions might not even make the playoffs. The Bears, you certainly can't trust in the playoffs. The Rams, I mean, it's still divisional. Like, anything could happen. If the Niners go in there, it's like, complete underdog. Like, it's all that. They're going to have all that great juju. No one believes in this stuff going on. So they absolutely, I mean, they're certainly not a favorite to like make it to the NFC Championship game, but there's a path. There is a legitimate path with this team.
No question. It sounds crazy to say it, right? Because you're like, what, really? But yeah, they got a shot. They absolutely have a shot. And it's going to make December and January all the more juicy. Frank, final thought before we call it a show. Now, it is Sunday. Are you going live tonight, Frank?
I am going live at 9 p.m. Another edition of In the Dungeon Show. Excited about all of the sports that's happening. I also got a movie review. Got a chance to check out Jay Kelly, George Clooney's new movie. A lot of realism there, so I'm excited about that. Final thoughts. If you ask me after 13 games, what the 49ers are going to be 9-4, what do you think? I'd have been like, yeah, I'll take that. So when you consider despite the injuries, it's even more profound how close and how effective this team has been overall, the 2 quarterbacks and all that good stuff. But the thing that I take away from this team, because I played and I coach and I really study coaches, is just the high level of coaching that the 49ers are getting this year and the attention to detail of the players. Players are not sulking. They're not complaining about not playing. When they get their opportunities, be it a small particular role or a larger role, these guys collectively are getting the job done. And I'm pretty impressed with how the 49ers on-field contributions have been this year. It's pretty awesome to watch.
Good stuff, Kev.
Yeah. great game. Niners. I mean, the Niners are in a good spot right now. If you're a Niners fan, you have to be happy. We were talking about this after the Rams lost when they lost in a pretty bad game, 42-26, that they were going to face 4 easy opponents. And it's every game's gone their way. To beat the Cardinals, they put 40 on the Cardinals. They destroyed the Panthers in a game where they threw 3 interceptions. And then they just walked right over Cleveland. And then you got the easiest game coming up right here. And I'm saying that hopefully it doesn't jinx them. But yeah, this Titans team is absolutely terrible. So you could be walking into the final 3 games of the season 10-4. Probably very likely you're going to make the playoffs. But they do have 3 really tough games to end the season. And we'll get kind of like a reality check on the team. I think that's what it's going to be, because you got the Colts on Monday Night Football, the Bears on Sunday Night Football the following week, and the Bears are rolling. And then you finish it off with Seattle, who I think is one of the most underrated teams in the NFL. And that game might also be on primetime because they haven't figured that out yet. So we might have 3 primetime Niners games to end the season to just get a heat check on them. And then you're in the playoffs. So things are shaping up good. The win today was a good one in terms of, you get the win. Browns are just like I said. I mean, I probably can't say any much worse about the Browns besides just absolutely disgusting team right now, all phases. But good win. Certain key players are kind of coming into form, and hopefully this defense can kind of pull together. This young defense can kind of pull together for those final 3 games headed into the playoff run.
To me, I got one highlight and one thing. This to me was the highlight of the weekend. This little soundbite. This is the Bears victory celebration in their locker room. Niners Bears, man. I'm waiting for that showdown. Look at the momentum and the enthusiasm that Ben Johnson's got cooking right now. And you got to get your guys' thought on this chant. Oh, wait a second. Hold on, everybody.
Oh God.
Hold on. There we go. Now we can do this. Okay. Okay. Hit that. Here we go.
Good, better, bad. Good, better, bad. Never let it rest. Never let it rest. It's good, get better. It's good, get better. It better get better. It better get better.
Has anybody ever heard that cheer? Good, better, best. I don't know what the rest of it was. Had anybody ever heard that cheer before Ben Johnson took off his shirt and said it in the locker room?
I didn't know that Ben Johnson was built like that. He's actually pretty.
He's a little jacked. Huh?
Oh, he's definitely jacked.
How much you guys give me?
Respect,
How much you guys give me if this week at the presser I say to Shanahan, "Hey, you got a good, better, best? You got a shirtless good, better, best locker room thing coming, or what? You got your Ben Johnson moment coming? It will be, if I ask the question, it will be the highlight that everybody runs with on TV, right? Won't it be? Won't it? Don't you think it will be replayed left and right if I get him to Kyle, did you ever take off your shirt in the locker room and
it's like, you got the bye week. You got the bye week to think of something, you got to have something cooked up for the Titans. So apparently the deal is there's some super famous hot dog place that said in Chicago that said free hot dogs for everyone if Ben Johnson takes his shirt off in the post-game locker room thing. So the guy's just a man of the people, and it's a little bit like the Harbaugh stuff. Like, yes, it's a cheesy cringe fest, but when you're winning, oh my God, I would love it as a Bears fan. I would love it. Now, if he was doing that and they were 4-6, then then it's like that Step Brothers meet where it's like he's like, all right, now the suit's starting to seem a little fucked up. Like all right,
I think
somebody said let Grant ask that question. Come on, man, I gotta ask it.
Larry, I think in the back of my mind that Shanahan's kind of a rap fan aficionado, so he might have. Some rap lyric or something that he'll spring on you. You never
Seriously,
know.
he may go. Didn't he invite who's the rapper that he had at his party last year, right? Remember? He's Gary's favorite. Who's Gary's favorite rapper? God.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
What was it?
I don't remember, but I remember
he did Money in the Grave with
someone
Drake.
in the chat knows.
Oh, Rick Ross.
Rick Ross.
Yeah. So he might have, he might, recite a Rick Ross lyric or something like that. You never know.
I mean,
that would be awesome.
How about this? What if he did it after the Bears game? All of a sudden, then that's some bad blood between the Bears. I would love that.
That would seriously be just like Walsh and Ditka with the fridge versus Guy McIntyre. All of a sudden now Kyle takes off his shirt and the good, better, best and all this crap. That would be hilarious. All right. That's going to do it for us. Final thought before we get out of here. I would say my final thought is just that I think it's good for the NFL when teams like the Chicago Bears are good. I think it's good for the NFL when the Cowboys are good. I think it's good for the NFL when the Raiders are good. When some of these teams that have huge fan bases and huge enthusiasm and tons of history are good. And this weekend, what did we see? We saw the Cowboys beat the Chiefs and probably put the death blow on the Chiefs playoffs, right? Then we also saw the Bears go to Philly and party in Philly and just absolutely just crushed them. Ran up and down the field on them. Just took away, just absolutely physical manhandle of the Eagles. So, and then we just saw the Niners with Purdy win on the road, and him bounce back and play well. I can't wait for Niners Bears. I can't wait for this playoff run, man. If you'd said it even last week, I would have said, oh, come on, no way. But there is a little chance that the Niners could run the table. There's a little chance that they could run the table. I know they got 3 tough games. They got Tennessee off the bye, but they're probably going to get, rested. They're going to get a little healthier. They're probably going to get some guys back. Maybe they could add some player off the street or somebody's practice squad to their lineup. They're going to kind of be able to catch their breath. And it's on, man. The 49ers are the team that has been there. They've got a great coach. They've got a great quarterback. They've got a really great defensive coordinator. They got an improving special teams, and they got a shot. I don't know if it's a little shot, big shot, huge shot, but they got a shot. And when Warner went out and Bosa went out, I thought no shot. And now they do have a shot. So it's exciting. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krueger Show. Thanks to Sleeper. I don't know if we did our Sleeper read, but thanks to Sleeper for being a proud sponsor of the Krueger Show. And we should tell you that Sleeper, 49er football season is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. One-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and, of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy. Use promo code Larry, and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Links in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. So thanks to Sleeper. Thanks to Habbas Law. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle. Catch Frank tonight. Did you say 9 tonight, Frank?
9 o'clock in the Dungeon Show. Check me out.
9 o'clock in the dungeon. Check out Frank. It's just the way it's spelled there. ENTHA Dungeon Show.
No
9
problem.
p.m. Pacific. Rye, great to see you. Kev, enjoy Hawaii. Mahalo. Did Kev even mention that he's in Hawaii?
No, he didn't.
No.
He just
Someone in the chat did say, like, Kev, aren't you in Hawaii? What the fuck are you doing here?
Well, yeah. Kev's in Hawaii.
All my friends are at the beach right now, but I love the game.
There you go.
Love it.
All my rowdy friends have settled down. All right, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to all you guys. See you next time. Peace. Yeah, never met